This is absolutely Essendon. It's our round 18 game review. Essendon against the D's, going down by 17 points on a greasy, wet, fumbly night at the G, where the game started with just a massive opportunity in front of us to snare that second position on the ladder, even if only for 1 or 2 weeks. As Bomber fans, we would have quite enjoyed that. There was everyone falling over on the side of us, just leaving the pathway nice and open and clear. We had an opportunity to do a Stephen Bradbury and just slide right through into that second position. And I thought to myself, we haven't taken those opportunities in the last few years. We haven't done that, but maybe tonight is the night. But it was in the wet, and I should have known. It's always concerning for us in the wet, even though Melbourne were one win from 9 in the wet, so their record wasn't that much better. But they certainly seem to be a little more prepared. But did we even lose it? Did we give ourselves less of a chance at the selection table? So much to unpack. Where should we kick off with this one? Because this cruel mistress of a team, it's hard.
You're asking me? Or is that...
No, I'm just making a statement.
Okay,
I just want to keep talking.
You remember back in 1812, and Napoleon was on the gates of Moscow, having marched his army, La Grande Armée, all the way across Europe. Moscow in sight.
Right. You're going to quote 19th century
He
history.
fell short just when he had victory in sight.
Right.
And I sometimes think that perhaps we're a little like that, aren't we? Whenever, the bigger the opportunity for success, the more likely we are to cave. I think is there a theorem around that? It's like Schrodinger's cat or something, or with Murphy's. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But when opportunity presents itself to Essendon with open arms and says, "Come and get me," Essendon says, "No, we'd rather not. Thank you very much for the kind offer. Thank you. Thank you very." Not today.
Yes. Yeah,
not
we're good.
today.
We're
fine. Thank you very much. We would prefer to play in the bottom half of the 8. Hopefully we get an away game against Port Adelaide in the elimination. That's what we like.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We're used to that.
Yes.
That's what...
no second chance for us.
No.
No, sirree.
At a subconscious level, perhaps, they're afraid of success. Isn't that what they say it is?
Do you remember Madness, the 80s post-punk ska rock pop band from the UK?
Yes, I do.
From London?
Yes, I do.
Do you remember their song "Welcome to the House of Fraud"?
No, it wasn't. It was "Welcome to the House of Fun."
Welcome to the House of Fraud.
Yeah.
And we absolutely live in that house. And the roller coaster ride from elation to complete depression with this side is starting to play on my mental health.
Yeah.
How's yours holding up?
Yeah, no, it's an issue. This roller coaster ride. I mean, I know I'm a bit embarrassed. Last week we were talking about this, the team forming a new identity,
the edge,
with a gutsy win over the Pies like that. Coming back, slow start. We were the underdogs in that match last night against the D's. We were the favourites. Very clear
opportunity
favourites.
knocked.
Oh, it's exasperating.
Done with this constant pain, done with this inconsistency, done with this continual presentation of hope only to have it dashed.
Yes, snatched away.
I'm done with it. And I tell you what, when we lost to Geelong in that terrible game against Geelong, also in the wet, we shall come to that.
Yes.
And the players came out the week after and there was all that hype, the media pressure, the pump was right on Essendon. You must prove that you're worthy.
Yes.
And we came out and did that to a degree, but in hindsight, did we? Because let's be honest, against Collingwood, they came storming back as they usually do in the last quarter, and we got them by 12 points. It wasn't a convincing win, to be fair.
Yeah.
And then Collingwood's recent form, 3 losses in a row now, kind of suggests that maybe they weren't the big scalp that we'd had hoped for. Melbourne, on the other hand, very good win against the struggling Eagles, to be fair. But still, they played really well. Now, you might recall we barely got over the line against the struggling Eagles.
Yes.
And Melbourne did so with aplomb. And then they come up against us, missing absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, their two best players.
Yes.
In Max Gawn and the track.
Yes.
And with a very, very out of form Clayton Oliver running around.
Yep.
Only for him to play probably his best game of the season. As is always the case with Essendon, we find a way of bringing guys back into form.
We do. We resuscitate.
So Melbourne had half a team which I didn't even know their names.
Yeah.
They were playing the kids. You know, but they had something to play for, and this is the concern with the Bombers smoking, is whenever we've got something we really need to play for, we fluff our lines.
Yeah.
I was going to say the F word, but I said fluff instead of the other one.
You did, right? Yeah, because we're PG.
But the F word is the theme of this show today about fraud.
Yes.
And again, we were shown that this side is a team of frauds.
Yeah.
And I've got to tell you, so is the coaching panel. To be honest, I thought that Bradley was utterly outcoached against the D's. I thought Simon Goodwin knew what he had to do, told his boys what to do, and they did it.
Yeah.
Our guys were playing like headless chickens. So, sorry, I say too much.
No. You're absolutely right. But yes, I was looking for. Against the Pies, I thought, are they going to frank our form? I know I don't want to get into that whole thing again because I know you're not a believer in that. But no, they went and lost to Geelong.
I think you might be onto something.
It didn't, and in the end, really, the scoreboard was flattering. Yes, we had that flurry in the last quarter, but
joke,
really,
a joke.
The game was over. It was nice, but the game was absolutely well and truly over. But I think we should kick off with the lead up, because again, there was a lot of people pumping up the club's tyres during the week leading up to the game. Let's talk about the selections that were made and whether our coach has access to the weather app. Which one is he using? Because I don't see it captures the precipitation threat.
Is he? Yeah, because there is a Melbourne in Florida. I'm just wondering whether on his weather app, AccuWeather or whatever it's called, he's mistakenly got the Melbourne in Florida sunny gator alert.
Yeah. Because you know how the Scott brothers always stay in the box. They never go down to the sideline, right? All the other coaches, some mix it up. Some are always down there. Yeah. Craig McRae loves it. Simon Goodwin last night.
Vossi likes a little sideline action.
He does. But the Scott brothers, they love their comfort. Okay,
had the heater on.
Yeah, exactly. So if he had taken a little stroll down there and just spent a bit of time, perhaps it would have just dawned on him, gee, see, these conditions don't look the best.
They're not good?
Yeah,
but
maybe,
I mean...
He should pull back on the 200-centimetre players.
He picked the team on the Thursday, though, and I think, look, let's just quickly talk about that. So we've mentioned the media hype. So out of the Collingwood win, I was noticing a lot of the journos were talking about the red-hot Bombers after a 12-point victory against a struggling team. The red-hot Bombers. This is always a concern. So the worry in my head started, early in the week leading up to the Melbourne game when I think, oh my God, these players are going to get ahead of themselves. All right. Then the selections. Now, there was some clear outs. Despite the win against Collingwood,
yes,
there was some clear outs. Some guys that are really not in form. You can work out who those guys are, but there was at least two changes that I would have made.
Yeah.
And then as soon as the weather forecast came out, when Eisenhower invaded Europe in 1944...
Oh, these historical references.
The D-Day landings. They were due to land on the 5th of June, and the British Meteorology Department came to Eisenhower and said, on the 5th of June, it's going to be a little bit choppy out on the English Channel.
Right.
You might want to make it the 6th of June, and they changed the date to the 6th of June. The invasion of Europe happened on the 6th of June, as we all know. Maybe
I don't think anyone knows.
Maybe we need to get a meteorologist in who could say, hey, Brad, maybe against the D's this week you might not want to go in with 5 200-centimetre players. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Just maybe.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I was worried with the selections.
Yes.
The weather.
Definitely.
Big issue. We do not play wet weather football. We know that. We all know it. We've been mollycoddled at the Marvel under the lid.
We have. Hey?
under the lid.
With a nice air conditioning.
And despite
cycle.
the fact that 3 of our last 4 games have been played in the wet. We did Gold Coast, Geelong, and what's the name of the team? Demons,
last
right?
night, yes.
So we get a bit of exposure, but we still don't learn. Mm-hmm. So that's all leading up to a game. And in the background, our VFL team had a pretty solid win last week with the likes of Setterfield, Davey, Hobbs, Sartis and young Archie Roberts, who is probably wondering what the hell he has to do to get selected. He's the new Patrick Voss, by the way.
Right, okay.
All of whom would have been better than Peter Wright, Nick Cox and probably Archie Perkins. There's 3 for you straight up. So these guys running around in the reserves just probably think, what the hell? You know, I mean, Setterfield would have been perfect in the conditions last night. Even Hobbsy, you know, gets down, gets dirty.
Definitely.
You know, we're missing those guys.
Needed Hobbsy.
So that was the lead up. Over to you.
Well, so can I also throw in another one, perhaps worthy of some discussion? I was surprised that Laverde was left out. I mean, sure, he's got a couple of shortcomings, perhaps, but just good tough player, and they kind of out toughed us last night from the centre onwards. They just wheeled that ball forward, as slippery as it was. Whenever the ball was fumbling, it seemed to go their way. And I don't know if that was brute force, what it was. I just would have thought that we needed someone like Laverde last night, don't you think?
Well, I think you might split the audience on that one. Look, Laverde, I was surprised he was dropped. He was managed. I'm not sure what that means, but
really?
Certainly his toughness was probably missing. I think the defence actually did all right. I think our 2 best players, to be honest, were defenders last night.
Yeah.
Ridley,
Ridley expected Ridley to get 29 disposals.
Ben Mackay was very good too. So, look, to be fair, they're both reasonably tall players, or certainly Ben Mackay is. So, but I mean, I don't think the defence was necessarily the issue, although their smalls kind of got off the leash a little bit. And I'd like to talk about that because in the wet weather, We've talked about selection, but let's have a look at when it's wet, the ball's going to be on the ground a lot. And what you have to do in the wet, and this is something you're taught when you're about 7, is you don't piss around with the footy. You kick it. You kick it long and you take territory, because if the ball hits the ground, you want it to hit the ground 40 metres downfield, not 3 metres in front of you with your teammate under the cosh from the opposition. Yet persistently did our boys go for the little short handballs, the quick flicks out to the side, and inevitably, with a wet ball, it's going to slip off the side of the fist, it's going to hit the turf, it's going to the ground, and we created a contested ball situation in which Melbourne won probably most of those ground ball contests.
They did.
So let's have a look at the smalls. So you get the ball into the forward line directly, which is what Melbourne did. Our smalls, Jade Gresham, 0 goals, 0 behinds.
Was he playing?
Yes, he did. Jake Stringer, 0 goals, 0 behinds. Matt Guelphy, 0 goals, 1 point. Well done, Matt. Their smalls, Fritsch, 3 goals. Melksham, 2 goals. Pickett, 2 goals. And Chandler, 1 goal. That's a total of 8 goals to our 0. What was the margin? Thank you.
17 points, which really was flattering, I think, in the end. It was at least a 40-point thumping in the wet, which says a lot.
Yeah. So, look, here's my advice to Matt Rosa, if he does ever take over the recruiting in this football team, is don't waste 2 first-round draft picks on Harley Reid. Go and get Zerha. Go and get a small, medium-sized forward who can kick goals. Whoever it is, go and get him. If you're going to make the big play at someone like Harley Reid, make the big play at someone like Toby Green, Tom Papley, players that can actually make a difference in the forward line. We don't have that player. Maybe one day Alwyn Davey will be that player. Maybe. I don't know. I suspect not. But, we absolutely are screaming out for a Darren Buick type player who can, exploit the ball when it's on the ground and score goals consistently.
Well, we mentioned his progeny last week, and people commented.
Yeah, well,
there's a couple of kids there.
He's playing some junior state level football at the moment and doing very, very well.
Please.
But anyway, so our small forwards, our talls. Now we know it was wet, but just for the record, Wright, I think, had 7 possessions for the game. Didn't mark the ball once.
No impact.
No goals, no points. Caddy, I mean, he tried I think in the first quarter, but went out of the game after that.
He did.
As he would in the wet.
Yes.
0 goals, 1 point.
Yeah.
And then Langford chimed in with 2, but was otherwise ineffective for most of the game. So it was a really, really, really bad performance by the Bombers. Lost at the selection table, lost in the coaching box, and lost by a lack of cojones, which is Spanish for testicularization, I think.
I would agree with that. And so for all of Draper's dominance in the ruck, what did that yield?
About 20 clangers.
Yeah.
I thought Draper was good in the first quarter. He dominated the ruck, and as he should. I mean, they didn't have a ruckman out there, for God's sake, if he's not going to dominate. But in hindsight, funnily enough, I think Goldstein would have been the better pick. Because we could dominate the ruck, but without it going to our players.
He wasn't hitting to advantage. No. I mean, I there was a couple of times that Melbourne players were all over it. Like they were, by the end of that first quarter, they were all over it. And they were all over him as soon as he tried to grab the ball, do something clever. But
the game was it was Essendon over possession was the problem, and putting us. Draper was just I mean, after quarter time he was an embarrassment, I thought. But even so, I read some reports this morning before coming into the studio, before being dropped off at the front gate.
Right. By Black Limousine?
Yeah. Right. At the trailer. Media saying, Draper's dominance. I mean, he gets his hand to the ball, but then it drops to the ground. He tries to kick off the ground. It sort of skewers 3 feet off to the right, straight to a Melbourne player. Yeah. That's not a ruckman.
All his possessions, disposals are Hail Marys, let's face it.
Yeah, or goal of the year attempts, and he's only ever going to do that once in a century. We dominated disposals, we dominated possession. Not a good stat on a wet night if you're doing that. I think we had, in terms of handballs, we had 161 handballs to Melbourne's 131, so 30 more handballs. Wow. That's probably 30 more opportunities to fluff your lines. And when you fluff your line, as I said before, if you're handballing and you screw it up, you're in trouble. At least kick the ball long, get it into your forward half and dominate the forward half possession. Because once it's in the forward half, it hits the ground, it's going to stay in there in the wet. You can generally close the game down. We just couldn't do that. And then when they got the ball, they were much cleaner. They handled the ball much better in the wet. And they kicked long and direct, and often straight over the back to a forward who was running into an open goal. So you tell me why that happened over and over again.
Over and over. Our delivery into the forward line again just went back to old nasty habits. No kicking to advantage to any of our tools, and on and on
it was terrible. And I'm sure we're going to get people saying, "Oh, you guys are always so negative." Can you tell me why we shouldn't be after that performance? I mean, anyone who wants to talk up Essendon after that performance, good luck. Good luck. We're going through the same shit again, guys. I'm sorry to tell you. We're no better or worse than we were last year. Everyone says we're better, but let's just take this on board for a second. We have only won 2 of our last 6 games.
Yeah.
Now, doesn't that sound familiar? Does that not sound familiar?
Yes. And the slide out of the 8 is very much possible. There's a very real chance we may not make it. And arguably, if we do make it, how are we going to go in a tough finals pressure game?
Yeah, well, here's the thing. If we don't finish, we're not going to finish in the top 4. If we don't, we've got to at least finish 5th or 6th. So the elimination final is played at home, because there's a good chance that could be an interstate side. We might have half a chance. But if we have to travel interstate to meet GWS, Port Adelaide, it's going to be history repeating itself. It'll be Napoleon at the gates of Moscow.
Mate, it's hard enough to keep people watching these historical references.
Oh, no, we've
19th century history.
There's a lot of very, very well and well-read, learned gentlemen in our community.
Right.
I'll have you know.
Okay. All right. So then, looking ahead, if I may, or do we? Is there any more we need to unpack?
No, look, I don't think so. I think we've had a good old rant.
Yes.
We have.
It was not a great night.
What's the positive to come out of that game?
Well, Nick Martin got his goal kicking boots back. Okay.
Yeah. No. Okay. Good point. Actually, please continue. Sorry to interrupt.
Well, it was okay. Sure, most of those goals were after the game was over. Nevertheless, it was from different angles. It was good to see him get that back.
Yeah. I agree. And in here, I think we might have said this a couple of times through the year. Yeah, Nick Martin, he racks up possessions off the half-back flank and looks, like the superstar coaching masterclass putting him back there. Yet every time he goes forward, he kicks goals. And you know what I saw flashing up on the screen at the MCG when he got his first goal? It said Nick Martin goals 2024 6.
Yeah.
He kicked 5 goals in his first game. Anyone who can kick 5 goals in their first game, play them forward. Because I tell you what, this is again where I think our coaching is completely screwed up. Nick Martin is a forward, and a very good one at that. Creative, can get the ball from the ground and do a lot of damage. Why are we wasting that guy's talent off a half-back flank? I just don't get it. I mean, yeah, he gets possessions. It's this quarterbacking, forget that. Anybody can do that. Jai Menzie played off the half-back flank the week that Mason Redman was out and had 25 possessions.
Yeah.
We made that point then.
Yes.
This is the thing. So, okay, there's a guy playing in reserves, Archie Roberts, who looks like a real player, and he's got dash, he's got fantastic disposal. Put him on the half-back flank.
Yeah.
We threw D'Ambrosio out of the club, who would have been that solution.
We do. For a lousy 1 year extra on the contract.
So, Brad Scott's got to, take some advice from somebody and stop being so stubborn about his selections.
He's a little obstinate, isn't he?
Yeah. And this was the warning from a lot of North fans when Scott joined us, and they said, you'll learn quick enough. He favours certain players, older players. He doesn't like developing youth. How many first-year players have we had in the Essendon side this year? I'll give you the answer, 1.
Yeah.
And it took a hell of a lot to get that 1 into the team.
Yeah.
So, I think we've got to be a bit more creative. We've got to stop favouring guys based on their draft selection.
Yeah.
Just because you were picked at number 8 does not guarantee you a place in the team. We've got to stop favouring guys that are 31, 32 and are not the future of this team.
Yeah.
They've had their time.
Yeah, it needs to be a bit more cutthroat.
And we've got to stop playing guys that are utterly out of form. You remember last season, Joe, we had the ongoing gag about Sammy Wiedemann.
Oh, we did.
And,
it took a while.
So Brad seems to like to give these guys an eternity to prove themselves, and eventually when they don't, he drops them. But then they're never seen again.
Yeah.
Wiedemann's not been seen since.
No.
Alwyn Davies going down that path too, was given chance after chance after chance.
Yes.
Finally, his confidence is completely shot.
Yeah.
He then gets dropped, adding to that sort of pressure of a lack of confidence. Doesn't perform in the VFL in an underperforming, terribly run squad.
Sure.
And we're never going to see him again.
Sure.
So,
I agree with that. Can I throw in another positive? Shield, 28 disposals. They don't talk effectiveness just yet. Still, he was there, getting his hands on the ball, maybe over handball.
Oh no, he was okay. He was not.
Yeah.
He was certainly not the worst player for sure.
No.
Caldwell was very good.
Yes.
We've mentioned Ridley and Mackay.
Yeah, Durham was still.
Was okay. Yeah.
Yes, I would agree with that.
But really beyond that, Merritt had a quiet game by his standards, and turned over the ball a couple of times really badly.
Yeah, he did with a few of his kicks, but
So sorry, go on.
I was worried when did you see Redmond slam his shoulder into the fence?
Yeah, mate, I was on the train to Frankston at that stage.
Oh, were you?
Yeah.
No, you wouldn't have done that.
No.
You would never have done that.
Disgusting.
You stay till the bitter end, mate. You never leave it.
Went and watched the Wallabies finish up their game.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Okay. So looking ahead, we're going to be back into Under the Roof next week, dry conditions, playing Adelaide on Friday night. Again,
we'll eke out a 6-point win.
Yes, if we win, it'll be that.
And
it'll be an unconvincing,
but we'll take
stumble over the line win. Yep.
Talking about taking the 4 points, Brad Scott in his press conference. So, Brad, do you feel like you missed an opportunity to go to second on the ladder? It's only 4 points.
Yeah,
it's just 4 points.
Yeah,
for God's sake.
Yeah, that rhetoric.
How to win fans. That was a ridiculous snide remark. He was obviously upset. I don't blame him. But
why can't you just say, we missed an opportunity?
We did. We missed a huge opportunity.
Had it and we didn't. Why can't you say? What's wrong with saying that? It's a genuine question.
We're all humans, right? We're all human. Even football coaches are human.
Yes, but people love vulnerability.
They're going to play down that. He's probably conscious of the fact that he's made some mistakes, and he's not going to put any sense of importance on the result. It was a terrible, terrible loss, a real opportunity to prove that we are not that team from last year and the years before, and we blew it. He blew it. The players blew it. Yeah. No one should ever walk away from that. And, we're going to hear it in the media all week, how Essendon's just constantly false dawn central. The players are going to come out and say, it's not like last year, we're not going to let it happen. You're letting it happen, guys. You're letting it happen. 4 losses out of the last 6 games. Yeah. And I tell you what, Fremantle, Sydney, Brisbane to come, there's 3 games that I'd be surprised if we win. This could be a 23 repeat, and that's the great concern I have. And, there's players in that side that are not getting younger. Zach Merritt's not getting younger. Parrish is not. These guys are going to miss the opportunity if they don't pull their finger out. Really disappointing. Really, really disappointing.
Like and subscribe for more. Hit the notification bell so you get advised when we're releasing more of this. But
Misery Central. Hey, can I just talk a little bit about other things? I just want to draw people's attention to the over your left shoulder there.
Right. Yes.
Mr. Smoking.
Right.
Is a classic 1980s. A duffel coat.
Right. So is that the original item?
This is an original.
There's a lot of fake retro.
No, this is absolutely original. This was owned by my cousin, Michael Cox, funnily enough. Right. You know how much we love Cox. And, Michael sadly passed away a couple of years ago. He was a great Essendon fan, and this was his duffel coat. And as you can see, he loved Paul Salmon, and as we all did, and by God, wouldn't we love him in the side?
Wouldn't we?
So, Michael, wherever you are, whether it's upstairs or downstairs, this one's for you, buddy, and it will live on forever. And I hope it's all going well for you in paradise. Is that what we call it?
Yeah. Well, the Dons win every game there.
They do
by 12 goals.
They do. Yeah.
It's all just
James Hird is coaching.
Yes.
Has a fantastic tan from those drugs that he takes. Anyway. Mike, all the best,
Michael, yes, thank you very much, Michael. May it bring us some luck.
And can I just also say one other thing?
Some luck.
When it all goes south with the Bombers, which inevitably it does at this time of the year, it's always good to know the Premier League's just around the corner if you like to follow the round ball game.
You make a big switch, the big pivot, do you?
So I am very lucky this year that my beloved Ipswich Town are back in the Premier League, and I'm actually wearing a retro top from 1977-78 to FA Cup where they won. They beat Arsenal that year for those that can go back that far, and I'm looking forward to seeing the Tractor Boys doing their thing at Portman Road in the coming Premier League season.
Right.
And at least I know they'll try.
Really? Okay. All right. Okay. Well, there you go. We're pivoting. You've got. Actually, I'm not sure when this will be released. It might be released after the Euro final. But
what else? What else have we got? Anything? Any other housekeeping or
that we need to mention?
Are we doing a live stream for the Brisbane game?
Well, if we can get ourselves organised, there was one lovely viewer that was helping us out. But
we might have to get him in.
That's the goal.
Shout him a coffee down in the food court
because that last game against Brisbane will probably, be high stakes, super high stakes, maybe to play an elimination final, maybe in Adelaide. Yeah. But it would be good. Our goal is to do a live stream during that game.
Live reaction to the game.
Yeah. That won't
follow us.
That won't be pretty.
You turn down Anthony Hudson, turn down Dwayne Russell. For God, I'd turn him down anyway. And follow our commentary. Yes, because that's going to be a hoot fest.
Well,
I would have thought.
I have no idea how entertaining or otherwise that will be, but yes, that is the plan. Thank you once again for tuning in.
Yeah, thanks, guys. And listen, if anyone's got any thoughts on where Napoleon got it wrong, please feel free to drop some comments in our comment section.
I did start watching the movie.
Did you?
I'll never get to the end of it.
Particularly when he makes the little duck noises when he gets excited.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So we'll see you next week. You can always rely on us. Well, actually not always, but most of the time you can.
We'll tell it like it is. But if you think otherwise, as always, please share below. Give us your thoughts. All right, let's leave it at that. Okay, we are done. We're out.
Bye-bye.
It's good to be back in the studio, though.
Oh, absolutely.
All right. Thank you.
See you guys.
See you soon. Bye for now. Bye.